A lot of the other people helped me out, and those people are here today. Ron Sherwood is going to do part of the presentation, and Rich Allen. And they don't mind if you ask questions during their presentations. Please don't hesitate. So I'll let Ron go ahead and start. He's going to have the first.
Okay. I guess welcome test subjects. We're trying some new things today. Well, this whole program is sort of a trial to see how it works out. And we're doing some recording, and that's kind of a first-time effort. Also, we're going to try a couple of other things, but that didn't work out so well. For those of you who know John Kennedy, I just talked to him, and he recently had knee surgery, and he's doing great. Went to the surgeon yesterday, said everything's looking fine. He's just not getting out and about quite like he wants to yet, but not able to drive yet. So he's not going to be here today, but called to say hi to everybody. Today we're going to talk about saving and kind of organizing your digital images, and hopefully we're going to give you some ideas about how you can do it so that you can find the images later, because that's the bottom line. Once we get them on the computer, how do we go back and find the images that we'd like to have? We're going to start with some really basic organization, just folders and subfolders and that sort of thing. Hopefully we'll progress along this morning, have enough time that we'll get into some things that are a little more comprehensive as far as locating images, some software that will help you to arrange them and to find them later. And finally, Rich is going to talk about a free program. We always like free programs that you can download. In fact, I think it's on most of these computers. So later this morning you can. But a free cataloging program for your disk images. The important thing, as far as what I'm going to say today, is more what I'm doing, not necessarily how I'm doing it, because your software, how I do things, is going to depend on the software we get past the Windows, the operating system stage. So it's more important to pay attention to what's being done than some of the details of the software itself. So that's the thing that you need to remember. What else? Yeah, I guess that kind of covers it. We're going to go from some very generic type things. We're going to narrow it down to some very specific software. And actually, we're going to use some. I know John Kennedy wouldn't want me to say this, but we're going to use some paid purchase software to do some of our things later. The first thing I would suggest, and these are things that I've tried. These things are things that work for me. They're not necessarily the only way to do things. It's not necessarily the best way to do things, but it's the best way for me, I've found. So remember that too. Just again, the ideas are the important thing. You need to adapt it to your particular situation and how you work, what you want to do with your images, what you do with them later. If you go out and you take pictures at a birthday party, you come home, you put those on your computer, you print off a few, and you never ever go back to them, you never want to go back to them, then that's pretty simple. You don't really need to do very much with those images. If you do think you want to go back to them in the future, then that's what we're really talking about today, is making it easier to find those images down the road somewhere, or for someone else to find those images. The first thing I would suggest, let's see, I think I'm working on the right computer here, is that you have a place, a specific place on your computer for your images, a specific folder, and then probably some subfolders under that to store your images. Now, most of you are thinking, and I'm going to make the assumption, I'll apologize to Ken, that most of you are using Windows. You're saying, well, Windows creates a folder called My Pictures. And yes, it does. And you can put all your pictures there. That's one place and one way to do it. I personally don't do it, and one of the reasons I don't do it is just because Windows does create that folder. And because that is a folder created by Windows, other applications will, by default, install subfolders within My Windows. So it can get very cluttered in the, or My Pictures. So it can get very cluttered in that My Pictures folder. If it works for you, fine. I just prefer to have another place to put my pictures, and that's all I have in that folder are the images. Other software is not going to create or a subfolder within that. I'm assuming that most of you know how to create a folder. Does everybody know how to create a folder if you want to in Windows? I have a folder, and don't ask me why I named it this, but it started many, many moons ago that I call Pics Mine. And yes?
When you get a chance, maybe you could go over having to go into 2 or 3 different folders to get your pictures.
Mm-hmm.
That somehow or another I've created another step in there that doesn't belong in there. How do you get rid of that without losing it?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. We can remind me when we start looking at specific folders. Remind me to do that, and then we'll shift. We will shift some things around. The other thing that I know, I think Lee has had some problems with. And this may be why you have some of those pictures in other places. I know, I think Lee has had this issue. He's used different applications from his camera onto the computer. And if you use different applications, as I said before, they've created their own subdirectory. And that's where they'll put the pictures by default. So if you download, let's go to, let's see, what do I have on here? This is a program that comes with, Nikon cameras. It will create called, I think it's Nikon Capture or something like that, a subfolder within the My Pictures. If you use this particular application to download your images from your camera, from a flash drive, to the computer, it will by default put those pictures in that folder. So what you need to do to get all of your applications in sync, so they're all putting the images in the same place, somewhere in that application, you're going to have something called options, or maybe preferences, defaults. It could be a lot of different names. But it's the setting for what that program is going to do unless you tell it to do otherwise. And one of those, is it in this one? No, it's not going to be in this one. I think let's see. Well, see. It goofed me up already, didn't it? Because, here we go. If you use View NX, it automatically goes to a program called Nikon Transfer. In Nikon Transfer, you see that it is going to, that's the source, it is going to download, because I've changed it, it is going to download those pictures into a folder that's on my D drive called Pixmine and from camera. But you can change it to anything you want. So it's important that you change this in whatever software you're using to the place you want all of your pictures to download. Otherwise, it's going to use whatever folder that your particular application created. So I want them, that's where I want them to go because I've already changed it on this particular computer. This also, we won't talk about that piece yet. But different applications you're going to get to this in different ways. So that's the important thing to remember is change all of your applications so they are downloading the pictures where you want them to download. Okay.
Let me ask you, do you have a Nikon camera? Do you use that Nikon?
No. No, I don't. I used to, but I don't anymore. But we'll get to that. One of the very simple ways to, and this is sort of the way I started out, to organize your images is by subject. You can create different folders and subfolders with different people, with different activities, different events, birthdays, Christmas, anniversaries, whatever. And that's one way that you can do it. And you can see over here, for purposes of this class, I have created a folder, and this is by subject, and we have hobbies. And under hobbies, we have computers and people. You'll recognize some of these people, I'm sure. We have David, we have Gina, and we have John. So what we can do is go over here and we can look at these images. And this is Dave Clement. Okay, fine. We'll just move David over here to David Clement. This is John, and we can move up. Double click on him here. We'll move John over here to John, and then we have David, and we move him over here. We move Gina into Gina, and there's John again, and we move to John, and then we have David. But oops, which folder do we put that one in? Now this is Dave Clement. We could put it in Dave Clement's folder, but this is also building John Kennedy's computer. So we could put this in Hobbies Computers. Or we could make duplicates of it and put one in each place. But that can quickly get out of hand because you end up with how many different copies of the same image scattered all over the place. Just for kicks, we'll go ahead and we'll put this into Dave Clement. But now we have another problem. Now we have Dave Clement, and we have John Kennedy, and we have them building John's computer. So where do we put that image? Well, we can make 3 copies of that, and we can put one under John Kennedy, and one under Dave Clement, and one under Hobbies Computers. But again, now we have 3 copies of this same image. We'll put this under computers. And we got John, we got a couple people again, we'll put that under John. Now we have a whole bunch of people with John. Where do we put that one? We'll put that under John.
Ron,
But you can see that, yes?
I can't stand waiting longer. Since it says copy of it, the first of it, is that going to screw you up alphabetizing or sorting later on?
Depends on how you sort, yes. Yeah, because, well, no. because they all start with copy of, so the when you sort, that's going to kind of cancel itself out, and it'll start with the, yeah. But I rename them anyway. We'll talk about that. But you can see the problem here is when you have one image, but it fits. I have to scoot over here a little bit. Mary Frances is hiding behind the monitor. Where do we put it? If it has multiple, if there are multiple topics or multiple people, activities, things like that. We can make multiple images. Again, that said copy of, because I've made a lot of copies of those images. But then you have to store 4 or 5 copies of the same thing. And there's really nothing to do that when you have some other options available. The other thing that I found out, what I do when, and we'll look at my folder structure later this morning, the way I back up, when I have external hard drive, and I also back using CDs, now I use DVDs. If you're grouping these folders are constantly changing, because I go out and I take some pictures today, while I might take some more pictures of Dave Clement, so I put those in Clement. So I found for backup purposes to CD or DVD, this did not work very well, because I back it up today, all of a sudden tomorrow it's different. So what I do now, again, we'll get into that a little bit later. When they reach DVD size, I burn a DVD. It's done. They're not going to change. They're static at that point. So that helps me with the backup process. Again, they're backed up to a hard drive. They're also backed up to an external, but I also back up to the DVD. So that's one of the things. The other reasons that I sort of got away from this. But where do you put each one of those images? So that's one way to do it, and if it works for you, that's great. You can do it that way. It just didn't work out very well for me. Another way that we can do it is we could create some folders. Now these will remain static once we load the folders in, or load the images in for a particular date. We're not going to put any more in there unless we take more pictures that day. But once we get past that date, then they will stay the same. But we also run into, and here, if you don't know how to create folders, you notice I have date highlighter. I'm going to right click on that, and I am going to create a new folder. And I'm looking at my images over here. I see some that are taken on November 25th, 2008, so I will make a folder 2008-11 25, and we create that folder. And does everybody know how to select multiple images if you want to move multiple images at one time? If they're adjacent to one another, you can click on the first image, go to the last image you want, hold the Shift key and click, and that will select everything from the beginning to the end. If they're not adjacent to each other, and they are in this case, you can click on each image and hold the Control key down when you click on the next images. I don't want these particularly, but you can see how I can just go anywhere as long as I have the Control key.
And if you select one that you don't really want,
then hold the Control key down and click it, and that will, yeah, you click on it once, that selects it, click on it again, and it deselects it. I've selected these two images because they were both shot on 25. I can drag those over here and move them. We'll create another folder, and what are we going to call that?
Are you moving them or copying?
I am moving them.
You're moving them, aren't you?
From this one central location where all of them currently reside. I'm moving them over here. And we could select other images, these other images, and create subdirectories. Now, back to your question. What if, okay, I've got this one and this one, and I get them over here in April 2nd. Wrong place. Is this addressing what you were asking? Okay.
Not in the wrong directory. It's like you come to a folder and you
Okay.
click on the folder.
Okay.
And it tells you then what's in the folder. And you click on that and it comes back and gives you the same folder again. How do you get rid of one of those folders? It's unnecessary.
Not. Ken, do you follow? I'm not sure.
What I'm saying is that instead of you clicking on the home folder and then going into a subfolder, then it goes into another subfolder.
Right.
You get the same thing that was on
The
the
first.
first subfolder.
So
There's an extra.
the folder names are not the same, but the pictures are the same.
Now, the folder name's the same too. I didn't know how to get rid of one of them without
So you might
losing
have,
pictures.
yeah, you might have a folder named December and click on it, and there's another December under that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can do that. Within this folder, I will create a new one and name it the same thing. Let's see if this is what you're asking. I'm not sure I can even do this. Will this work? I guess it does. Something like that. I have this one, this folder, and then within it I have one that's named the same.
Yeah.
Okay. And that one's empty?
Well, when you click on the basic folder,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you the subfolder.
Right.
You click on the subfolder, it gives you another subfolder, the same name of the one you just clicked on.
No, look carefully.
It's
at
going
the
3
name.
dimensions instead of 2 for the same thing.
Ron, make another subfolder under that one.
Under
right
this
there.
one? What do we want to call this one?
Always call it the same thing, just,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. Right
Okay.
now, he's got 2 folders, or 3 folders.
I have 3 that are all the same name.
Two subfolders?
Okay. If I go down here, let's put something in it. Let's put something in this last one. Okay, you go down here and if you have something in this folder, the very lower one, and you don't want all those, then what I would do is select these. You notice I'm in the lowest level here, and move them up here. So now that folder's empty. Now I can just hit, as long as this folder is highlighted. I'm pointing to the screen, I know you can't see it. As long as this folder is highlighted, I can either hit delete or I can right click and delete that folder. Okay, now I got rid of one of those, but I still have another one. Now it happens to be empty. Let's put something in it. Okay, then I would do the same thing. Click the first one, shift, click the last one, so I've got all of them. Move that up here. Now I have all of those in this highest level. This one's now empty. Right click and delete it.
You know, I can understand how you're doing it here because you got the folders, all 3 of them right there where you can see them. But if you're on like I am on the XP, you're only getting one folder at a time each time you do that.
You shouldn't. You should get the same tree that I'm getting.
The file manager is exactly the same on 7 as it is in XP.
Yeah, they should all show up.
Is it his view? The view settings, he's not seeing the left column.
Yeah, I don't,
Sometimes that column, or what I click on, I do this in scrapbook, so I'm trying to do my scrapbook kits. And I have to keep fussing back and forth to get all those folders to come up. Sometimes if I click on, I get them over here and then I don't get them over here. And I don't know what I do, but eventually they all come up there and then I.
You don't get the left-hand column
Not all,
show up?
I might get the top folder, but not the subfolders.
Okay.
You have to go back in there and click on the top folder to get the subfolders. And then it messes me up over here for a while, and I actually get it.
yeah,
When I get in there, all I get is the folders, come at.
On the left.
I don't get that list.
over here or over here?
You just get the right,
Yeah, I just get the ones on the right and not the list on the left.
I get the list.
Oh,
View
yeah,
settings.
that is a setting in view. And we don't have XP on here, so I don't remember exactly, but if you go to view, I don't know what it's called. I don't remember what it's
You
called.
have icons.
Thumbnails,
Now over here, you have,
I think you can do it
that
up there.
affects this,
You still have
But-
a tree in the left.
but there's, yeah, there's a way to turn.
Try the icon right up where you were clicking at, Ron. Do the one there.
Oh, there, show the preview pane. Oh no, because but this is 7, so this, I mean, this isn't. But there is, yes, there is a way to turn this list on and off, but we don't have XP on.
Turn that list on and do it the way you're doing it.
Yeah. View.
view, details. If you have it in like thumbnails or something else, it won't show all of those, and it won't show, and it won't re-alphabetize them. You have to put it down into details.
Details?
View details, and then it will re-alphabetize them or re-sort them
Okay.
properly. But if you leave it in thumbnails, you won't probably get this, and you probably won't resort them in the proper order. Go to view,
Okay. Yeah.
details.
Yeah, I'm sorry because I just don't use XP. She still has XP on the computer, but I don't. I haven't used it for so long. I cannot remember. But yeah, try view. Look, view setting, or I'm not sure what else. We don't have XP on anything here, do we? I think.
Well, XP is on the teacher's unit,
Oh, okay. Well,
and all of them have XP on.
maybe we could look at that later and see how to
Or
turn that
let him
on.
do it with his hands.
Yeah,
With his own
yeah.
hands.
Yeah, maybe we could try that because
I'm gonna load it up in front of your wife here.
Here with me if you wanted to see what.
Yeah. Okay. Dave's going to work on that. So, yeah. If you can't bring that up, do it because your folders should show up here as folders.
They're easy to create, they're hard to get rid of.
But and you can do the same thing.
You might
But see, once I'm down here, then I don't see this folder. Yeah. Okay. I understand what you're saying now. And if you don't have the tree over here, it's going to be awkward. But
You
I'm.
might create a second window, a second
Yeah.
computer, and drag them across if you can't see. If he's only getting the right-hand side of this, then he could go to a second one
Open 2 Windows Explorers.
and open the second folder and drag them to
Yeah.
the top one or something.
Yeah.
I don't know this particular computer operating system. Can you put your cursor on that up and down next to the scroll line? Can you put it on the up and down line and make that screen more narrow? See, if she has it pulled clear over there out of the way.
That's a possibility.
Maybe you can't see it anymore.
Yeah, maybe that's adjusted over so that you can't see it. I mean, without having XP in front of me, and I haven't used it for a while, I'm at a loss. So I guess we haven't answered your question yet, but David's working on it, I think.
Both your wife is in XP.
Okay.
I'm in 7.
Okay.
And we're going to try to get back with you.
Okay. Okay. Well, is everybody with me so far here? Or we're okay. But you can see again some of the downside to even using the dates is yes. Well, I guess the plus is once you have that date set and you have all the images in there for that date, it doesn't change. So if you want to back it up to a CD, you want to back it up to a DVD, it's not going to change later. You can change it and it's fine. Again, the downside is you have to remember the date that was taken.
I know, I'm asking too many questions, but
Yep.
Mary Frances doesn't always remember to be consistent, and one of her pictures might be April 2, 2009, and it might be APRIL. Another one might be, it might not have 04 and it might not have 02. It might say 4/2/2009.
And that is one thing I should have said right up front. When you're doing any of this, you need to be consistent.
But what about all the thousands that are already there?
Well, I can tell you how I would do it. In fact, we'll see how I would do it later. How you would do it, I don't know. But you notice that everything here is year, month, day. Why is it year, month, day?
I give up.
Ken's back there shaking his head.
I give up. Why?
What if I put month, day, year? What's going to happen?
Oh, okay, 12, 1, 8, 0, whatever.
I use year, month, day so that it sorts in the proper order.
Okay.
If I put it month, day, year, all my Januaries are going to be together. All my Februaries are going to be together. All my January 13ths are going to be together. But the years are going to be all mixed up. So that's the reason I use, because the computer sorts by default from left to right. And the computer is a good assembly line worker. It will do the same thing over and over and over again and do it the same way. But if you use things, the computer doesn't know that APR is April, APRIL is April, and 04 is April. Those are three different things as far as the computer is concerned. And they would definitely sort differently if you use alphabetic months versus I could do it this way. I could do 2008 November 25, and that's not going to sort the same way as 11/25 because again it's going to sort alphabetically. It just follows the rules. Yes.
I have an old XP and mine are just sort of a mess as I've been learning. Can I organize it on my XP and transfer it onto like a DVD?
Sure.
And new one in it?
I mean, I'm assuming you have a DVD burner or CD burner or something in
Yeah.
your computer. Sure.
And it'll go in the new Windows whatever latest version seamlessly.
You notice that my data is on D drive rather than C, and I don't know. I think David probably does this, and I know a lot of other people who do this. One of the reasons that way is our data is separate from the operating system. I could put a brand new operating system on here on the C drive. I can put 8 on there. I could, go back to XP. It's not going to touch my data because it's on a separate. It thinks it's a separate drive, it's a separate partition, but as far as
Did you have
Windows.
to partition that?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Now at home it is a physical drive that's different, but because the desktop has enough space. But
Would I sort it in my old XP just for, would that be? And then-
I would do it, yeah, I mean, whatever you have on your system now. If you're going to upgrade
Yeah.
to anything or go to another computer even, I would do everything in your current operating system. One, you're familiar with it. And two, if there are any quirks between the operating system, then your current system's going to, handle it okay. And but as far as the information is concerned, Yeah, you sort it, do whatever you want to do with it, write it out to a CD or DVD. If you get a new computer or you upgrade your system to a different operating system, your data files are wiped out. Put that CD or DVD back in and read it right back to your, right back to your computer.
What I want to ask, maybe out of line, but can you put the date and a name on the same one?
Sure. Yeah, we'll see that a little bit later. Okay. Any other questions?
Essentially, what you're doing on D then is my documents like.
Yes. Yeah.
And you don't
I get
have-
spreadsheets, audio. Yeah. Anything that basically that I create is on D. Yeah. That's probably a subject for another day. But
Yeah.
all of these are again some basic ways to organize your images, and we haven't touched anything but the operating system at this point. So if you have Windows and you have an operating system and you have a way to get the images from your camera or flat computer, you can do any of this without any additional software. This is all, we've just done this within the operating system. Kind of a downside, again, there's always an upside and a downside to all this is the images themselves. Even if we went to the images themselves don't have any information. The only reason we know this, well, other than looking at it, we can see they're working on computers, but we know this belongs in the computer category, hobbies, computers, because that's where we put it. But the image, we haven't added any information to that yet. So if that image gets misplaced, we don't necessarily. Now, something like this, fine. If it's an event, if it's a birthday, it's Amelia's, I don't know how old she is. Third birthday. And now birthday, and now her 7th birthday, and we have all those. We can probably tell the difference between 3 and 7, but can we tell the difference between 3 and 4? Or something like that. There's no information with the image itself. So that, again, that's kind of a drawback to that. Now,